We have previously seen the general options of the Agents panel and, in particular, the configuration section when creating or editing an agent. Let's now take a look at the remaining sections, which are AI and Tools and the JSON section. The AI and Tools tab allows us to configure the agent's reasoning behavior and specify which additional tools and agents it can interact with. This tab is divided into two main sections: AI configuration and tools and agents to use. The configuration section is where we define how the agent processes and generates responses. It allows selecting the LLM to use. The models are organized by vendor and offer several versions according to their capabilities. Some prioritize speed, while others handle complex requests more efficiently. Once the model is selected, the creativity level setting is completed automatically. A low value produces more consistent results, while higher values introduce more variation. The maximum token value is also automatically populated after the model is selected. This setting determines the maximum length of the responses. Higher values allow for more detailed responses. As for the reasoning strategy, it defines how the artificial intelligence processes the information to generate responses. Depending on the selected strategy, the agent can generate more logical, creative, or robust responses. The following options are available. Chain of thought facilitates complex reasoning by guiding the LLM through intermediate steps. It is an ideal option for problems that require explanation-based responses. Dynamic prompting allows the agent to adapt its reasoning dynamically as the conversation progresses. The question refinement option focuses on improving the user's initial query. The LLM rephrases unclear or ambiguous questions before responding, which results in more accurate and relevant responses. The reflection option allows the LLM to review its intermediate reasoning, identify possible errors, and refine the result before finalizing the response. This strategy helps improve accuracy, but should be avoided when the expected result has a strict structure, such as JSON or a list. Self-consistency runs multiple reasoning paths for the same query and selects the most consistent result. This approach increases response reliability in complex tasks. The tree of thought option explores multiple reasoning paths in parallel, maintaining a tree structure of possible thoughts. This option selects the best path by iteratively evaluating intermediate ideas. Finally, the zero-shot chain of thought option combines a zero-shot prompt with explicit step-by-step thinking instructions. This enables more thoughtful and structured reasoning, even when no examples are provided. Good. This Tools and Agents section allows us to configure the agents and tools that will be available to the agent we are defining. This allows the agent to perform specific actions and extend its capabilities using external functions or other existing agents. To add a new tool or agent, we must click on Add. A window appears where we can browse all available tools and agents. We can view only public tools, only private tools, defined agents, since they can be used as tools within the agent being created, or all of the above. When we select a tool, a detailed description of its functionality appears in the right panel. Okay, now let's go to the JSON tab of an agent. This section displays the agent's structured representation in JSON format. This view is automatically populated based on the fields configured in the previous tabs.